All right, breaking news right now. This is on Cooper Street in Royal Oak, where a house has exploded.
Wow, this is near Normandy and Woodward. You probably know the area if you take Woodward or I-75 on your afternoon commute, but look at the damage that we're talking about here. Obviously, the suspicions tend to run toward things like a natural gas or something like that, but the enormity of this, as you can see sort of the blast zone, you're looking at what appears to be the very center of the house. Everything else is just blown straight out from that. Live pictures from Sky 4, obviously a lot of answers and questions still to come over exactly what's happened, but that's the scene this afternoon.
Yeah, the neighbors reporting that was an extremely loud explosion, and one would think so. And looking at all that debris and what is left, or should I say not left, of the house.
Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
Indeed, as we hit the 5:30 break here, we are following breaking news as we've watched firefighters responding to a house explosion and fire. This is on Cooper, which is near Woodward and Normandy in Royal Oak. These are live pictures from Sky 4, and our Tim Pamplin has now arrived on the ground. Tim, what can you tell us from what you see?
Well, what I can tell you, David, is this is a scene of absolute devastation. Just arriving on the scene here, windows up and down the entire street here have been blown out, and as you can see from the chopper, the house is completely destroyed. It's just a bunch of rubble now, splintered, charred, bits of the home spread all across the street. I'm seeing windows, 1, 2, 3, about a dozen houses on either side have completely been, all the windows have been knocked out, siding missing. There's a young man up here. He's been hit by flying shrapnel. This explosion was heard about 5 miles away. I was actually up in Birmingham on another story when I heard the explosion, came down the street, and the smoke could be seen for many, many miles. Police are now clearing out the street. We're trying to get our truck established, but as you can see from the chopper, absolute devastation here. Now, I do see one of these backhoe construction equipment down the street here. I don't know if work was being done in this neighborhood or on this property at the time. There's an unconfirmed report there was somebody working inside the property at the time. We're trying to get that confirmed. And again, just pulling up on the scene. And it's 1 block off of Woodward Avenue, Woodward and Normandy, 1 street to the east of Woodward Avenue. Again, the entire house. These are fairly nice-looking homes here, 2-story homes. I'm not entirely sure what was going on with this one that has blown up. But as you can see, Royal Oak Fire Department are on the scene. Police, medics, Oakland County Sheriff's deputies also milling around the scene here. But everybody's being moved back away from the home. Apparently, someone said there may be a gas leak, so that's the first indication here. Guys, back to you for a second.
Tim, you were in Birmingham and you heard this. I don't imagine that you would have thought it could be that far away from you then.
When I first initially heard the explosion, I thought it may have been half a mile or so, possibly a transformer. But then, of course, when you realize it's actually about 5 or 6 miles from where I actually was, it was significantly more than a transformer, as you can see right now. Quite a devastating scene.
And Tim, to be clear, you had mentioned that you believe that there was some word that someone might be working in the house, but we do not know at this time if anyone was inside that house?
Well, no, I've got it third hand from somebody here at the scene. Someone spoke to somebody else. We're trying to get that confirmed. But this is, again, just happened in the last few minutes. So a very fluid situation.
Yeah, Tim, we'll let you talk to some of the first responders there and get a better handle on what's going on. As you can see, we've still got a fire situation there. But Tim talking about being in Birmingham, so folks all over southern Oakland and northern Wayne counties most likely heard that. And that includes the next person that we have with us on the phone.
Apparently he was in the men's warehouse. John, are you on the phone right now with us?
Hey guys, yeah, it was right across Woodward Ave at the men's warehouse on the southbound side of Woodward, and we just heard this massive boom to the point where it shook the building and some debris fell down from the ceiling here in the store.
You actually had debris fall on your structure? Or you were away?
We were inside the store, and I wouldn't call it debris from the explosion, but the force of the explosion seemed to have just knocked the sprinkler heads loose on the ceiling here in the store.
Oh, my goodness.
And then how were you able to see smoke or be able to see what had happened, or has this just been a mystery for you for a little while?
No, we're actually close enough that we're right across from that side street where Tim is. Some of the employees here in the store ran across the street to see what was going on. There's a transmission shop, and they thought something might have gone on there. And then when they ran over, and they realized it seemed to actually have been a house that exploded.
Oh my goodness.
Have you seen any ambulances responding or arriving? Because we haven't been able to get a handle yet, obviously, on whether or not anyone was inside at the time.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some fire and EMS trucks come flying up Woodward here in the minutes following the explosion.
Yeah. All right, John. Thanks very much for your eyewitness and ear witness reflections on what's just happened. Again, if you're just joining us, we are looking at the scene of an enormous house explosion that was felt for a good 5 to 6 miles away at least. Tim Pamplin telling us he heard it in Birmingham, and this is south of there in Woodward and on Royal Oak. But Tim also describing that about a dozen houses in the area have had their windows blown out because of the blast inside this house.
And of course, trying to get, I thought he had said they were trying to get some people out of that area for fear that there perhaps could be some type of gas leak situation.
And that would be your first suspicion on something like this, was that there must have been some kind of gas leak on the inside the house. We certainly are not going to jump to any conclusions yet. As there you see, firefighters and the first responders. In fact, when you first show up on a scene like this, they're typically a little afraid to get too close because they don't know exactly what's going on. They've got to get the gas shut off before they get any closer, so that they don't obviously exacerbate the problem, become a bigger part of the issue. But as you can see, that house, there's really just about nothing left.
And even if you look at that house on the top of your screen, that whole other side has been singed. And we've covered these house explosions before, but I have to say I've never seen anything to that magnitude, and I've never had a eyewitness account where somebody heard it 5 miles away.
Yeah, really something. Tim is on the scene there right now, hopefully getting a better handle on whether or not we're going to need any kind of evacuations. We certainly don't have any word on that yet at this point, but all of this is very fresh, just happening here within the last few minutes or so. Tim making his way just as soon as he heard it down there, and he just arrived on the scene a short time ago. So we will continue to keep an eye on the situation there, and there you see the firefighters moving into the adjacent homes to make sure that everyone is okay.
And again, as we said, this is at Woodward and Normandy in Royal Oak. Firefighters going house to house, most likely making sure that people are not in their homes, making sure everyone is out and safe. As you had said, Devin, emergency crews are on the scene. This is a breaking situation. We will come back throughout the next 30 minutes, or next hour, I should say, as we get more information about this house explosion.
Let's get you back now to the breaking news that we're covering this afternoon. A home explosion in Royal Oak, not too far from Woodward Avenue. This is live pictures now that we're seeing there on the ground. This is on Cooper, and that's Tim Pamplin, who has got our first look at this now from ground level. Tim, we've been watching it from the air, and it is just amazing. It looks like the house just almost evaporated.
That's exactly what it looks like, Devin. The house exploded around about half an hour ago. As I zoom in down here, you'll still see the flames and what's left of the structure there on this street. Now, if I pan across the street here, you'll see the adjacent homes on the opposite side, windows blown out on each of those. I saw some people earlier. They were cut. They were getting medical attention. Now, if I spin around here, you can actually see gas crews, I'm being told, were in the area earlier today. They left about 15 minutes ago, I'm being told, about 15 minutes before the explosion occurred. There is one unconfirmed report. I've spoken to the police, trying to get it confirmed. There was one person who has been injured here seriously, was seen flying through the air out of that property. Again, we're trying to confirm that. I'm seeing some people here who have just been evacuated. I'm trying to get their attention. Maybe they'll come over here and talk to me in a minute as more emergency responders. Now, Birmingham are coming in as mutual aid. This, of course, is in Royal Oak, but lots of families here being displaced. A very emotional scene here as family members and neighbors come together to try and figure out what happened here. I'm going to try and get this lady over here to come talk to us, to tell us firsthand what occurred here. Ma'am, do you mind just 1 second? She says she'll be here in just a second so we can get a first-hand account of what occurred here.
I can't imagine, Tim, you were talking about these windows being blown out of these houses. Can you give us an idea how many homes were actually victimized, I guess I could say, by the blast? Well, okay, let's look here, for example. First house on the block, you see the screen there has been knocked out, the window out there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses from the explosion scene. And then the first house on the block here, windows out, all the way down. So basically the entire block. And we heard earlier from a customer across the street at the Men's Warehouse, that's over there near Art Van Furniture Store. They said ceiling tiles came crashing down there, and again, like I said earlier, I heard this about 5 or 6 miles away up in Birmingham.
So a massive, massive explosion. There's residents down here, young children, just taking in the sights here. Oh, here we are now. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry to talk to you under these circumstances. What's your name?
My name is Kate Sikora.
Kate, exactly what happened here tonight, you know?
Well, I was standing in my kitchen talking with my brother and his friend, and next thing you know, there's this huge, like sound wave, and then all of our glass breaks, and there's this huge explosion, and we had no idea what it was. We don't know where it happened, and we ran outside, and it is literally a house down from us, and we had to run in and get. My neighbor has her elderly aunt that lives with her that speaks no English. She basically speaks Polish and speaks very little English, but I knew her from before, so I just wanted to try and get her out as soon as possible. There was a man that ran in and pulled her out, and I just took her to my house, and you know, we got a hold of her niece, so she's okay now. We're all really shaken.
So you were in your house. How far was your house from the house that exploded?
My house is the greenhouse, so I am literally a house over.
And maybe your house was damaged, huh?
Yeah, looks like most of our windows are broken, which is scary, but hopefully the insurance will pay for it. And
tell me about the house in question here, the house that blew up. What do you know about? Was it occupied? Was there someone?
Yes, as far as there was a man and his family there for a while, but I knew his kids had moved away. I mean, I don't know if anybody was home. I assume that nobody was. I don't know anything on that lines, but as far as I know, it might have been just him. I'm not sure if he was still with his wife.
And we're getting reports that the consumers, the gas crews are in the area.
Yeah, they were working this morning. They've been working all day. So when we felt that thing and realized that there was glass all over our house and all of our windows were broken, first thing we thought was that there was a gas explosion and that there's a fire, and we were all really terrified. And
how loud was it? Was it like just a massive explosion, or was it?
It was pretty loud. It wasn't. I mean, we were all really confused, and I was scared it was the house next door, and I was terrified for my neighbor. But this kind of stuff only happens in the movies. You know, this stuff doesn't happen. This is really...
You've been up close to the house. It doesn't appear there's much left of it.
No, there's like nothing left. And on my neighbor's roof, there's a pair of pants, which is very scary. I mean, I don't know if we have any debris personally in our house. We have lots of glass, so it's scary. We're just trying to make sure that everybody's okay.
And tell me again, the neighbor, the lady, the Polish lady, what happened to her?
She was in her house, in her living room, I believe, watching TV. And so she's fine. She just has a cut on her leg. She's just very, very scared. And she has a cat, and she's worried about her cat. But her niece works at Beaumont.
Is that the woman whose house it was?
No.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you in a little bit. So there you go, a massive explosion here. It sounds like the neighbors are okay. Still unconfirmed reports about the one occupant of the home, maybe a male, and possibly his son living in, what was their family home. Back to you guys in the studio for now.
Yeah, all right, Tim. Well, pretty amazing, her detailing exactly what that felt like and sounded like in the neighborhood. Gas crews out earlier in the day, not exactly certain how that might tie into this, and we don't know yet, obviously, whether or not anybody was in that house. Often the case is with something like this, when gas has been building up, there isn't anybody home, because if there was, somebody would have smelled all the gas accruing. We certainly hope that's the case, but we don't know. I just got a text from Mike Feasy, the head of Huntington Bank, who was driving in the area at the time, and they were sure somebody had hit their car. That's what it felt like as the thing, as it jarred. So we will obviously keep an eye on what's going on. We'll get you back there very shortly, but it's